When we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo before the Gohonzon, we are engaging in a profound dialogue with the universe itself. But here lies a question that troubles many practitioners. How do we know our prayers are being heard? How can we understand what results will come from our sincere efforts? The answer is both simple and profound. We must learn to listen to the reply of the Gohonzon. The Gohonzon is not an external deity sitting in judgment of our worthiness. It is a mirror that reflects our own Buddha nature, our highest potential, and the mystic law that governs all life. When Nichiren Daishonin inscribed the Gohonzon, he was not creating something separate from us, but rather manifesting in physical form the enlightenment that exists within every person's life. In his writing, The Real Aspect of the Gohonzon, he states, "Never seek this Gohonzon outside yourself. The Gohonzon exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people who embrace the Lotus Sutra and chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo." This teaching revolutionizes how we understand prayer and its results. Many people approach prayer as if they are petitioning a distant power, hoping for favorable answers while fearing rejection. They wait for dramatic signs from heaven, for thunderbolts of good fortune, or for their circumstances to magically transform overnight. But this misses the fundamental nature of Buddhist practice. The Gohonzon's reply comes not as a voice from outside, but as changes within our own lives, in our wisdom, courage, and life condition. It speaks through our growing understanding, through the opportunities that appear, through the strength we discover within ourselves, and through the connections we make with others. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all people possess the Buddha nature, that enlightenment is not reserved for a special few, but is the birthright of every living being. In the sutra, the Buddha reveals that he has been constantly teaching and guiding people, appearing in countless forms throughout time. This means that the universe is always responding to us, always teaching us, always guiding us toward our highest potential. When we chant to the Gohonzon, we are not trying to convince some external force to grant our wishes. Instead, we are awakening the Buddha nature within our own lives and calling forth the wisdom to see the path forward. Think of it this way. Imagine you are standing in a dark room and you have a lamp in your hands. Prayer is like lighting that lamp. The lamp does not create the room or the objects in it. They were always there. But now you can see them. You can see the doorways, the obstacles, the treasures that were hidden in the darkness. This is how the Gohonzon replies to our prayers, by illuminating our lives so we can see clearly what we need to see, understand what we need to understand, and act in ways that lead to genuine happiness and fulfillment. Nichiren Daishonin often emphasized the importance of faith, practice, and study. These three elements work together like the legs of a tripod, supporting our Buddhist practice. When we chant with sincere faith, we open our hearts and minds to receive the Gohonzon's reply. Through consistent practice, we develop the discipline to perceive subtle changes in our lives. And through study, we gain the wisdom to interpret what we are experiencing. Without all three, we might miss the very answers we are seeking. The reply of the Gohonzon often comes in unexpected forms. Sometimes it appears as an inner realization that shifts our entire perspective on a problem. A person who has been struggling with a difficult relationship might suddenly understand their own role in the conflict and see a new way forward. Someone facing financial hardship might gain the courage to pursue a new opportunity they had been too afraid to try. A person dealing with illness might find inner peace and strength that transforms their suffering into growth. These are all replies from the Gohonzon, manifestations of the mystic law working in our lives. The concept of actual proof is central to understanding how the Gohonzon replies. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "There are three categories of proof: theoretical proof, documentary proof, and actual proof. The superiority of any teaching is determined by actual proof." This means that the true test of Buddhist practice is not found in clever arguments or ancient texts alone, but in the tangible results that appear in our lives. The Gohonzon replies, through actual proof through changes in our circumstances, our relationships, our health, our work, and most importantly, in our own character and life condition. But here's where many people stumble. They expect the Gohonzon's reply to match their initial prayer exactly, like placing an order at a restaurant and receiving precisely what was requested. Life does not work this way. The mystic law operates with perfect wisdom, understanding what we truly need far better than our limited perspective can grasp. We might pray for a specific job, and instead of getting that exact position, we might develop skills, make connections, or gain insights that lead to something even better. We might pray for a relationship to continue, and instead find the strength to let go of something unhealthy and discover true happiness elsewhere. The Lotus Sutra contains a famous parable about a wealthy man whose children were trapped in a burning house. The children were so absorbed in their play that they did not realize the danger they were in. The father, in his wisdom, promised them wonderful toys and carts waiting outside if they would just leave the house. Once they were safe, he gave them even more magnificent gifts than he had promised. This parable illustrates how the Buddha's wisdom works. The universe responds to our prayers with what we truly need, which is often greater than what we initially asked for. Listening to the reply of the Gohonzon requires developing spiritual sensitivity. Just as a musician learns to hear subtle differences in pitch and tone, or an artist learns to perceive countless shades of color, we must train ourselves to recognize the Gohonzon's response in our daily lives. This comes through consistent practice and honest self-reflection. After we chant, we should observe our lives carefully. What thoughts arise? What feelings emerge? What actions feel right to take? What opportunities appear? What challenges present themselves? It is important to understand that difficulties and obstacles are often part of the Gohonzon's reply. Shakyamuni Buddha taught about the 8 winds prosperity: decline, disgrace, honor, praise, censure, suffering, and pleasure. These are the changing conditions that blow through everyone's life. A person of strong faith remains steady regardless of which wind is blowing. Sometimes, what appears as a setback is actually the universe clearing away obstacles and creating space for something better. A job loss might feel like disaster, but could lead to finding one's true calling. A broken relationship might hurt deeply, but opens the path to genuine love. Nichiren Daishonin faced tremendous persecution throughout his life. He was nearly executed, exiled, and constantly opposed by powerful forces. Yet he never wavered in his faith. He understood that these hardships were part of his mission, proof that he was upholding the correct teaching. In one of his letters, he wrote about how the Lotus Sutra predicts that its practitioners will face persecution, and he took his suffering as evidence that he was on the right path. This perspective transforms how we view challenges in our own lives. They are not signs that our prayers are being ignored, but rather evidence that we are making causes for great fortune. The timing of the Gohonzon's reply is another aspect that requires understanding. We live in a world of instant gratification, where we can order food with an app and have it delivered in minutes, where messages circle the globe in seconds. But the profound changes we seek through Buddhist practice often unfold according to a different timeline. Some results appear immediately, while others take months or years to fully manifest. The seed of enlightenment planted through our prayer might take time to germinate, grow roots, and finally break through the soil into the light. The Buddhist concept of karma helps us understand this timing. Our lives are shaped by countless causes we have made in the past, not just in this lifetime, but potentially across many lifetimes. When we chant to the Gohonzon, we are creating powerful, positive causes that will definitely produce effects, but we must also work through the effects of previous causes. Think of it like paying off debt while earning new income. The new income is real and will improve our situation, but it might take time to overcome the existing debt. Similarly, our sincere practice is creating profound positive effects, but the full transformation of our circumstances happens gradually. One of the most important replies from the Gohonzon is the development of wisdom specifically. the wisdom to see our lives and situations as they truly are. The great teacher Ji, whom Nichiren Daishonin praised highly, taught about the principle of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. This profound teaching reveals that everything in the universe exists within each moment of our existence. When we chant, we access this totality, this cosmic perspective. We begin to see beyond our limited ego-centered view of reality. We understand causes and effects more clearly. We perceive connections and opportunities we had missed before. This wisdom is itself a precious reply from the Gohonzon. Sometimes the Gohonzon's reply comes through other people. Buddhism teaches the interconnectedness of all life. No one exists in isolation. We are all part of a vast web of relationships and influences. When we chant sincerely, we might find that the right person appears at the right time. A mentor who offers guidance, a friend who provides support, a stranger who shares information we needed. These are not coincidences, but manifestations of the mystic law working through the network of human relationships. The Gohonzon's reply reaches us through countless channels, and other people are often the medium through which wisdom, encouragement, and opportunities flow to us. Gratitude plays a crucial role in recognizing the Gohonzon's reply. When we approach our practice with appreciation for whatever results appear, we develop the sensitivity to perceive subtle benefits. A person who only looks for dramatic, obvious answers might miss the gentle shifts, the small improvements, the incremental progress that actually constitutes most growth. But someone who practices with gratitude will notice and appreciate each step forward, no matter how small. This grateful awareness itself creates a positive cycle, opening our lives to receive even more benefit. The concept of benefit in Buddhism is broader than most people initially realize. We tend to think of benefit as getting what we want, the new job, the healed relationship, the financial security. These are certainly forms of benefit, and Buddhism does not reject material improvement or worldly success. However, the ultimate benefit is the development of unshakable happiness, profound wisdom, and boundless compassion. These inner treasures can never be taken away by external circumstances. They are the greatest treasures of life, and they are the most important reply the Gohonzon offers to our sincere practice. Nichiren Daishonin wrote extensively about the relationship between mentor and disciple, and this relationship is another way the Gohonzon's reply manifests. When we connect with those who have walked the path before us, who have overcome challenges similar to our own, we receive guidance and encouragement that helps us understand what is happening in our lives. A more experienced practitioner might recognize patterns in our situation that we cannot see ourselves. They might offer perspective that illuminates the Gohonzon's reply when we are too close to our problems to perceive it clearly. The practice of daily reflection is essential for hearing the Gohonzon's reply. At the end of each day, we can ask ourselves certain questions. What did I learn today? What challenges did I face? And how did I respond? What opportunities appeared? What conversations or encounters stood out? How did I feel after chanting? What actions did I take based on my prayer? This kind of honest self-examination helps us track the subtle ways our lives are changing. We might not notice day-to-day shifts, but over weeks and months, a clear pattern of growth and transformation emerges. It is also important to recognize that sometimes the Gohonzon's reply is simply the strengthening of our life force itself. We might not see external changes immediately, but we feel different inside. We have more courage, more hope, more energy to face our challenges. We find ourselves less defeated by setbacks, more resilient in the face of difficulty. This inner transformation is profound and foundational. A person with strong life force will naturally create better circumstances over time, just as a strong tree naturally bears abundant fruit. The Lotus Sutra teaches that the Buddha is eternally present, always working to lead all beings to enlightenment. This means the Gohonzon is always responding to us, always guiding us, always supporting our highest development. The question is never whether the Gohonzon will reply, but whether we are paying attention, whether we have developed the awareness to perceive the reply that is constantly being offered. Every moment contains a message. Every circumstance holds a teaching. Every interaction offers an opportunity for growth. Understanding the Gohonzon's reply requires us to expand our definition of what an answer to prayer looks like. It is not always about getting what we want, but about becoming who we need to be. It is not always about changing our circumstances, but about transforming our relationship to those circumstances. It is not always about eliminating problems, but about developing the strength and wisdom to overcome them. When we grasp this broader perspective, we realize that the Gohonzon has been replying all along. We simply needed to learn its language. The greatest reply from the Gohonzon is the awakening of our own Buddha nature, our own enlightenment to the truth of life. Everything else, the improved relationships, the better health, the financial security, the career success, these are all reflections of this fundamental inner transformation. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with sincere faith, we are polishing the mirror of our lives until it perfectly reflects the mystic law. That perfectly polished mirror is itself the reply we have been seeking all along. It shows us who we really are, beings of infinite potential, worthy of happiness, capable of creating value from any circumstance, connected to the unlimited power of the universe itself.